Hey everyone, welcome to your new format for your math classes. Most of you won't have seen this kind of a format before for your classes. A couple of you have had these lessons with me in the past, but I just wanted to take some time in this first video to introduce myself, talk about how these lessons are going to work in this kind of online video format. Yeah, and then I'm going to break down a little bit the kinds of topics that we're going to cover in the class, and then in your next video you're going to see some actual math. So today, no math, just some housekeeping items, just some chit chat about how this is all going to work. So this is new for most of you, so let's get right into it. So first and foremost, I just want to say welcome to your new style of math classes. Like I said on the previous slide, some of you have had video lessons like this with me in the past. For those of you who haven't met me before, my name is Pranav. I'm going to be your new math teacher for, I guess, the remainder of the school year. So first thing that you should know is I'm going to be posting these videos on the Esperanza Online YouTube channel. So I've put a screenshot of that so that you can look it up and you can make sure you found the right one. You can match the profile picture and the description and stuff. So that's where all these videos are going to be posted. So your teachers should know that, and that's how they've got this video playing for you. But for you guys to go back and look at lessons after we've done them in class, and you want to go revisit a concept, you want to go through some practice questions, you want to check out older videos that I've posted that might have been about the same topic, that's the channel that you should go to. That's where you'll find all of that information. So as you can see at the bottom of the slide there, if you're struggling with a concept or if you want more practice questions, more examples, just you want to revisit one of the concepts we're discussing in class in a little bit more detail, you can go there. You can check out some of the older videos posted. I've got a playlist of about 50 or 60 videos from a few years ago that should cover a lot of the topics. The presentation quality is probably worse on that one because it was just me sitting with a whiteboard in front of my camera. So this type of video will be clearer because I'm recording on PowerPoint, but those ones are there if you just want some extra practice questions, or maybe you want to hear a slightly different explanation that I gave a few years ago. And if you want more besides that, or if you have other questions that you don't think would be answered by going through one of those videos, just let me know and I will be happy to help you out. So in terms of actually being able to let me know that you have questions or comments or feedback or anything like that, you can also, besides the YouTube channel, I also set up an Instagram page that's kind of associated with the channel. So that's esperanza.online on Instagram. And again, I've put a screenshot of that so you can see the photo, you can see the kind of the follower count and stuff, so you can match that you found the right one. That is, if you're on Instagram, that's an easier way for me to connect with you on really short notice. So if you've got like an emergency the night before a test and you really want to go through something quickly, if you send me a message there, I'll get that notification on my phone and I will not miss it. If you leave a YouTube comment, there's a chance that I don't see it until it's too late. So if you need me in an emergency, go to Instagram first instead of the YouTube comments. I do have other ways that you can get in touch with me, so I would suggest you speak to one of your teachers to get my WhatsApp or my email, and you'll be able to get in touch with me through that as well. So a little bit about me for those of you that haven't met me before. Like I said on the first slide, my name is Pranav. I used to volunteer at the school back in 2018 and 2019, which I can't believe is 5 and 6 years ago now. And while I was there, I taught math, science, geography, music, English, and for a brief period, educational games as well, to a variety of the age groups that you guys have there now. I know the school has restructured a bit since I was last there, but yeah, so I will be your math teacher, but if you happen to have questions in science, geography, English, anything like that, let me know. I might be able to help you out. As for my academic background, I have a degree in astrophysics, so I love all things about space. I love making connections to physics, because in physics you use a lot of math. And so what I didn't like about math class, and maybe some of you feel the same way, is I didn't like going through all the work of a problem just to get a number as an answer that didn't really mean anything. So you're going to see in a lot of the questions, in a lot of the examples that we go through, that I'm going to ask you to take a concept that we've studied in our math lessons, and I'm going to ask you to apply it to a bit of a different situation. So basically, I'm going to give you a question where the answer you get actually means something. So you guys will have seen these before in things like word problems, but you're going to see more things like word problems instead of just churning out like calculations that don't really mean anything. And that's just because I like having some meaning kind of attached to the answers that I'm getting. Some other things about me: I love football, or soccer if you're from Canada or the States. And I got really into chess a couple of years ago. And I feel like that's important to mention because I do like to sneak my own interests into some of the examples that I give and some of the questions that I give. So I can't really go wrong with football because a lot of people tend to like it and appreciate the little Easter eggs that I put there. But yeah, you should be aware that I do like to make jokes and put Easter eggs in my video lessons, so you guys can keep an eye out for that. There's never going to be anything actually important for the class that's going to be hidden away in an Easter egg. I'm going to try and keep things as clear as possible for you guys in my explanations in the video lessons, but I just thought you should know, I don't want you guys to stress out. Most of you haven't met me before, but I'm going to do my best to keep things kind of easy going in the class as best I can. I know it's a little bit weird because we can't see each other in real time. Like, I'm recording beforehand, posting it, and then I can't see your guys' faces when you're watching the video. I can't see that you're confused by the way I said something. So bear with me, we'll figure it out. But yeah, in this video, I just want to give you this kind of heads up that, you know, I'm going to be making jokes. You guys don't have to write down every single word I say because a lot of it's going to not be that important. But yeah, so that's something you should know. I love learning new things whenever I can. It's one of the reasons that I got into chess, because I feel like it's a really good challenge for me in terms of, you know, working my brain. But even aside from that, you know, I love learning languages, and that's something that I've really been into for the last few months, that I've been spending a lot of my free time learning languages. But aside from that, math and science, I've loved that long enough that I got a degree in it. So I hope that through this class, I will make you appreciate math a little bit more, appreciate its use, its applications in the real world a little bit more, and to inspire you to enjoy learning as much as I do. And something that's different from the last time that I was actually at the school is I speak Spanish now. So if you have questions, you can ask me in English or in Spanish, and I will be able to help you out. If you ask a question in another language, I cannot guarantee that I'll be able to help, but you can try. So in terms of the schedule for posting these videos, at the moment it seems like it's going to be 3 videos per week, and each video is going to be a little bit over half an hour long. So it sounds to me like your classes are about 45 minutes in length. So I'm going to try and keep the videos a little bit shorter than that so that you guys have time to, you know, get the screen and speakers and stuff set up, and so that you don't feel pressured to watch the entire video without pausing to ask questions or to rewind a little bit. So I'm going to try and keep the videos to 35-40 minutes. We might see in time, maybe it gets even shorter, maybe it goes down to half an hour, or maybe on occasion I'll post you know, little extra bits that are just 5 or 10 minutes to clarify something that maybe I rushed through to meet the time limit. But yeah, we'll figure that out going forward. But I just wanted to let you know that the videos, as the plan currently stands, they're going to be about 35-40 minutes long. So I have got also a little bit of information about what you guys have been studying before the break, and I'm recording this video with the understanding that 2 different classes are sort of being combined for this. So if you're from the older or more advanced of those 2 classes, bear with me while we review the concepts of the other class. So it might be a little bit boring if it's really, really basic for you, but reviewing the stuff you've already done and reviewing the basics is a really important part of anything, because if you don't have a strong foundation, then everything's going to collapse when you get to the more advanced stuff. So we're going to start out with a review of some things. I've got a breakdown on the next slide that we're going to look at. And I'm going to try and keep the review fun and interesting, because I know reviewing what you just did, it's not always the most fun, but we're going to have fun with it. So the plan that I have to start is that we're going to review fractions. So I saw that one of the classes was working on fractions, namely addition and subtraction of fractions, as well as simplifying them. So we're going to review that a little bit. We're going to expand on that a little bit. We're going to talk about multiplying and dividing fractions as well. After that, we'll jump into algebra. So some of you just got through an intro to algebra. Some of you have done a little bit more. So we'll review the basics and we'll go more in depth and do sort of another algebra unit. And then after that, I've got some scary words there on the screen. So that's why I've put the question marks there, is that if you've never heard of linear functions or quadratic functions before, that might look really scary to you, but relax, we're gonna get through it. It's a lot easier than it sounds. Those are just scary names for not the scariest math concepts. Obviously, they're going to be a little bit trickier than just fractions or something, but they're not the hardest thing in the world. So don't worry about it too much. And then, like I said, because of my background in science, we're also definitely going to talk about applications of math in the real world. I just want to make sure we get through our review of those math concepts that you guys have already covered before we start talking about where they're applied kind of in isolation from actually learning new material. But you are going to see applications of math in the real world as we go through the class. But I'm thinking just before Semana Santa, we'll spend a few days just looking at math in the real world, just playing around with weird math concepts or weird things that happen out in nature and trying to figure out what kind of math rules are being applied behind the scenes. And then after Semana Santa, we will dive into trigonometry. We might not finish quadratics before your guys' break, but that's the plan, is that we're going to go through reviewing these things. We're going to do linear functions, quadratics, and then sometime after Semana Santa, once we wrap up with quadratics, we will jump into trigonometry. And then we'll go from there, because it's tough to know right now whether we'll be way ahead of schedule, way behind schedule, something else comes up. But that's the plan as it stands right now. That's not a complete plan, but it should give you a rough idea of what we're kind of looking at for the next little bit. I might change the plan in a couple of weeks' time as I've had a little bit more time to think about it. But if I do, I will let you guys know. So if I'm slotting in like a new unit between algebra and linear functions, I want to do like a geometry unit or something, then I will let you guys know ahead of time. And so that'll be something that I will mention in a video, and that would also be the kind of thing that you would find on the Instagram account. So if you're on Instagram, follow that, because you're gonna get news about the class on there. As for quizzes and tests, I've already started making a rough schedule of what lessons I want to make when. So like which lessons I want to cover in which week. I haven't nailed down exactly like which day each lesson will be posted, but I'm going to try and stick to the 3 lessons per week. And accordingly, I've scheduled in some quizzes and tests in there as well. So I will create and send those quizzes and tests to your teachers along with the answers. I don't know yet whether the teachers that are at the school right now will be marking the quizzes and tests for you, or whether they will be like taking pictures and sending them back to me to mark. But if you think there's been a mistake in the marking, let me know, and I will double check or remark or check the marking of one of the other teachers. If you can, let me know as soon as possible, either through a YouTube comment or an Instagram message, or as I mentioned earlier, a WhatsApp message or an email, but you'll have to ask your teachers for that. And if you can't get a hold of me that quickly, then let one of your teachers know. They'll be able to get in touch with me any of those 4 ways. For every test, the way I've planned the schedule right now, there's going to be a review video that's posted 2 math classes before that. So again, I've worded it that way because I don't know exactly what days you guys are going to be doing the lesson. So I didn't want to say like 2 days before the test, but 2 math classes before the test. So that means that so we've got like 3 math classes in a week. So if the first of those 3 math classes is a test review, that means that the last class in that week is where we're going to have the test. So it's going to be like test review, start of a new unit, and then the test. So there's always going to be like a test review, and then I'm giving you a little bit more time to study, make sure you understand everything in the test review, and then we'll have the test. So that's why I'm not putting the review directly before the test. I want to give you that extra day or that extra couple of days, however the schedule works out for you guys to study. So in the meantime, we'll jump into a new unit, then we'll do the test, and then we'll circle back to the new unit after you guys are done the test. So yeah, for all those quizzes and tests. For the quizzes, there probably won't be reviews. I might change my mind, or I might do short reviews that you guys can kind of like watch outside of class if they're only like 5 or 10 minutes. But for the test reviews, they're going to cover everything that you need to know. So I'm going to make the test before I make the test review, and that way I'm going to make sure that I cover exactly the topics that are going to be on the test so that you guys don't run into any surprises. If you do run into any surprises, that'll be a bonus question. So it might be something that's like worth a couple of extra marks that I didn't tell you about in the review, just to see, you know, how well you're able to connect the concepts that we studied in class. And if there's a question on a test that I've written so badly that you're all confused and you don't get to ask me during the test, that'll also turn into a bonus question, because that'll have been my fault for not explaining it well enough. So that'll become a bonus question for you guys. So I think that should cover everything. But like I said, if you guys have any questions about the stuff that I've covered so far in kind of how these videos are going to work, get in touch with me or let one of your teachers know, and they can get in touch with me. They should all, between all your teachers, they should have the ability to get in touch with me through Instagram, WhatsApp, or email. So that should be no problem. Now I'm also going to be including a couple of little signs on some of the slides. So I've put 2 examples of them on the right side of the screen there. One says pause, one says discuss. Those are just examples of the kinds of signs you might see in the middle of a lesson. So for instance, if you see a slide with the pause sign, I'm going to go through some explanation, maybe of a problem, maybe of a calculation, something I want you to think about, something I want you to write down, whatever. And I'll put that little pause button in the corner of the screen so that once I've finished saying what I want to say, you guys can pause the video, think about it, solve the problem, whatever I'm asking of you on that slide. And then once everybody's done, press play and continue on with the lesson. So a lesson that has a lot of those pause slides on it will look shorter on YouTube. It might be like 25 minutes instead of 35, but it's because I'm putting in those pauses and I'm expecting that, like, okay, once you guys pause, you're going to work on it for 5 minutes. So that's going to add into the time that it takes for you guys to finish the lesson. So things like that. Similarly, the discuss sign, that's another example. I haven't got any concrete ideas just yet of where exactly I'm going to use that, but that'll be a case of where maybe I'm giving you guys a word problem and I don't want you to solve it just yet, but I want you to talk to each other either with one person or a small group or the whole class. And I want you to talk to each other and think about what are the ways that you would use to go about solving this problem. You know, what techniques that you've learned in class, how will you break down the problem, do you have enough information to solve the problem, things like that, things that you don't necessarily need to sit down and solve right away, but things that I want you to think about and talk with a friend, with a partner, with the whole class, and just have a discussion for a few minutes. So that'll be the kind of thing that you would see there as well. There's probably going to be more signs that I come up with as I make the lessons. You guys will just see those pop up from time to time when it's time for me to use them. So I do ask that you follow those signs. If I've put a pause sign or a discuss sign or something, I do ask that you follow those kinds of instructions. So one, it'll help with the time it takes for you to finish the lesson. If I've put a bunch of pause signs and I've made the lesson shorter, if you don't pause, you're going to be done the lesson 20 minutes before the end of class, but you didn't talk about the thing I wanted you to talk about, or you didn't solve the problem. So you're not getting the full benefit out of the video if you're just trying to breeze through it as fast as possible. Obviously, if you're rewatching it, you already solved the problem, you want to go back to something else, then obviously you don't have to pause the second time. But the first time that you're going through the video, if you see pause, pause. If you see discuss, pause the video and discuss with each other. and any other signs, I'll explain them as they come up. These are the only two I've made so far, but there's going to be more for sure. So another thing I wanted to go through, especially for those of you that haven't had these video lessons with me before, is video lesson etiquette, which is just like a fancy way of saying the do's and don'ts of what I expect from you as students of sort of this like remote like video lesson class. So it might not be something that all of you necessarily need to hear, because with the pandemic and schools closing down and stuff, you've probably all had some experience with this kind of remote learning and video lessons in some way, shape, or form. But I obviously haven't met most of you, so I want to talk about kind of how I go through my video lessons and kind of what I expect from you. It's probably not going to be any surprises for you guys, but I wanted to take a sec to go through it anyway. So first things first, please feel free to pause the video to ask questions. If you've got a teacher who's kind of there supervising, you can ask them to pause the video. If not, one of you can sort of take charge as sort of like the leader of the group and be responsible for pausing and replaying the video. So if you've got questions, you didn't hear something that was said, you can't see something on the screen, anything like that, anything that's the kind of question that you could ask even just each other, pause the video so that you're not, disturbing everybody else. That if you didn't catch what I said, pause the video, ask your classmate, and then replay the video. Don't abuse that. Don't be pausing the video every 5 seconds, obviously, because then you're never gonna remember what I was talking about. I'm also thinking, if I give you a few minutes to solve a problem during the lesson, there might be situations where I put the pause button on screen and I ask you to pause the video and work through it and then replay the video once everybody's finished. So in that case, do please wait until everybody's finished so that none of you are missing what's happening next in the lesson. There might also be times that I'm giving you a couple of minutes, just 2, 3, 4 minutes to solve a problem, in which case I might like put a timer on screen and I'll just keep the video running. So you wouldn't need to pause for those ones. But I do ask that whichever format I'm using for a particular question, whether it's the pause button or a timer or something else, please use that time to actually work on the problem instead of talking to your friend, goofing off, doing something else. Ultimately, it's up to you whether you work on the problem, but please at least don't disturb the students around you if they are trying to do the work as well. And of course, there's most likely going to be a teacher who's kind of making sure that you guys are staying on task, but if not, I do ask that you self-monitor a little bit. You guys make sure that, you're kind of keeping each other in check, making sure that if somebody else is goofing off, don't be afraid to call them out on it and get everybody back on task and, working on the question or whatever it is. Also, if a particular video lesson, probably like this one, finishes before you get to the end of class, like before the end of class time, please don't disturb the other classes. You can take a few minutes to kind of do whatever you want. If I've given you practice questions for homework, you can work on those. If you've got homework for another class, you can work on that. If you really have nothing to do, you can, do something quietly amongst yourselves, but don't go like running out for break 5 minutes early, because the class right next to you, you're gonna get in the way of the other teacher and the other work that's going on. So if a video lesson does finish before the end of class, try not to disturb the classes around you. I know that's easier said than done, but that's why I'm going to try and keep the video lessons long enough that they take up most of class, but there is a chance that you guys will finish a couple minutes early, and I just ask that you're respectful of the other classes around you. And lastly, practice makes perfect. Math is one of those subjects that you cannot get better at without doing a lot of practice. Going through different types of examples, different types of questions, watching examples, but also doing the questions yourself. So obviously going through the examples will be helpful to you to some extent, but really going through questions yourself, going through practice questions on your own, that's going to help you a lot. So I do hope to create my lessons in a way that I've got a set of practice questions at the end that you don't have to work on in class, but it's something that I'll put the questions up. You can pause the video so that everybody has time to write it down or take a picture or something, and then that'll be your homework for the next class or for the class after that. That's the kind of stuff that I would write on the slide. But so that's something that I'd like to emphasize, that it's really hard to get better at math without practice. So if it's a subject that you have struggled with, I know it's hard to force yourself to do more practice questions, especially if it's not all like you absolutely have to do this, but it's optional. If math is a subject that you struggle with, do the optional practice questions, because that's what's going to help you a lot when it comes time to do the test. If you've gone through yourself solving 10 different questions of the same type, then when you see that one on the test or on the exam, piece of cake, because you've done it so many times before. If you've watched me go through the examples, you might be able to work your way through it, but the only way to know for sure is if you go through the examples on your own. And the reason I want to give you those practice questions is so that you have the practice questions, say, at the end of one lesson and the answers at the beginning of the next. So you can actually go back and check your work. Because one of the problems that you might run into with, if you get practice questions on like other YouTube videos and stuff, is they'll give you the question, but nobody gives you the answer. So even if you work through the problem, you don't actually know if you did it right. So I'm going to work out exactly how I'm going to arrange the practice questions and answers and stuff, but do the practice questions. And let me know, of course, if there's something that's not making sense to you, if you're not understanding questions of a certain type. The only way that you're going to understand that you're not understanding this kind of question is to try and solve it. You try and solve all the practice questions I give you, and you're getting most of them right, but you're getting this certain kind wrong. That's your signal to come talk to me, and we'll figure out kind of what you're missing or where you need a little bit more practice. And this is our second last, actually important slide here. Please be patient with me. This is not my first time teaching video lessons, but it is my first time in a little while teaching video lessons, and most of the group is new, which wasn't really the case the last time I was doing this. So teaching through videos, like I said earlier in the presentation, teaching through videos can be a little bit tricky because I can't see your reactions in real time to what I'm saying. So I can't tell if I've said something badly because all your faces are confused. That being said, while I do ask for your patience while I, kind of get in the groove of things, get the lessons up in a regular schedule, and get to know you guys a little bit better, please, please, please do not hesitate to let me know if there's something that you think should be changed, should be done differently, because there's obviously, don't tell me that I don't want us to study quadratics because it's boring or it's hard or whatever. That kind of stuff, obviously that's not what I mean. But I mean things like if you can't hear me well enough, if I didn't explain a certain kind of problem, a certain kind of question well enough, let me know about that. If I'm going through the examples too fast, too slowly, let me know. If I'm not doing enough examples, those kinds of things, let me know what you need, because since I can't see your faces in real time and talk to you on a daily basis, I can't fix these problems if I don't know about them. So you guys are going to have to be willing to communicate with me, or at least to the other teachers, so that they can communicate that to me and I can adjust accordingly. Also, yeah, if there are any problems with the lessons, audio problems, video problems, anything like that, let me know. I will address all of them as quickly as I can. I know there have been some hiccups in the past of I uploaded a 75-minute video and my microphone was muted the entire time. So you could see some drawings on the slides and that was it. There was no audio, there was no explanation, there was nothing. So if you do run into that kind of a problem, let me know, and I will, if there's no audio, I'll re-record, I'll re-upload, if it's, I didn't go through a certain type of question properly or in enough detail, I'll make a new 5 or 10 minute segment where I go through just that type of question again, and I'll re-upload that as a separate clip. So yeah, anything that's not quite working right, let me know, let somebody else know so that they can make me aware and so that I can fix that problem as soon as possible. And if you have any questions about how the video lessons are going to work, please do not hesitate to ask me or one of your other teachers or one of your classmates who has had these video lessons with me in the past, because they might be able to answer your questions as well. But yeah, if you've got any questions about the lessons, ask me. Check out the YouTube page, check out the Instagram so that you have ways to get in touch with me quickly, and you can ask the other teachers to give you my WhatsApp or my email, and then you guys can get in touch with me directly through that as well. And last thing before I forget, I know my current audio video setup isn't exactly ideal. I'm kind of moving around a lot and I just got to a new place. So give me a couple days to kind of sort out where to put everything. But I do hope that you guys can hear me all right. You don't really need to see me, but I've got my video there in the corner. But yeah, give me a couple days to get everything working right audio wise. Let me know how the audio of this video is, if you guys can hear me, if it's too quiet, if it's cutting out somewhere, if it sounds like muffled or something. Let me know and I will rearrange for the next video that I record. So I'm going to hold off for like a day before I record the next one. So if you guys watch this between now and then, I will make a change if necessary. Otherwise, you guys will see kind of the same thing in the next video, and then we'll try and find a better situation in the near future. So this is the last slide that I need to actually go through here. You're going to see some intro slides and some outro slides on every video. So this is the last one where you're going to actually see me, hear me talk for today. So I'd like you guys to tell me a little bit about yourselves. So please grab a small piece of paper, from a notebook or something. It doesn't have to be a whole sheet, just enough that you can write those things that I've put on the screen. So just your name, your age, your favorite class or your least favorite class, your favorite sport or game, your favorite song or movie, things you like to do in your free time, your favorite hobbies, your favorite pastimes, things like that, and a fun fact about you. This is just so that I get to know you guys a little bit better, and then I can use the things that you tell me to make our examples in class a little bit more interesting. That, if you're all fans of a certain sport or you all like a certain song, then maybe I can work those things in and it'll make class a little bit more fun for you guys. So take these last few minutes of class, write those things out, give that piece of paper to one of your teachers so that they can send it to me, and then I can use that going forward. I'll know a little bit more about you guys, and then I can use the information that you give me to make the questions that we go through in class a little bit more relevant. So that's it for me. According to PowerPoint, this is a little bit over half an hour long, so hopefully that's enough time for you guys to finish this and give it to your teachers. You can see I've put the pause sign here, so you can pause the video and do that while this information is still on screen. And then that's it for me, so I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.